Hi, everybody. I'm Jennifer Cook-DeRosa, and we are going to talk today about homeschooling for college credit, what our organization is all about, and how it can help you find a lot of really great resources and ways to bring college credit into your homeschool. This is a welcome session, so we're not going to get into all the nitty-gritty details about exactly how to do this. Instead, this is an overview and a really great place for you to start if you're just finding our organization so that you can know what we're all about, and how we can serve your organization. I started homeschooling for college credit in 2012, but my background before that was very different. I spent 20 years inside the higher education system. I actually started my career as a chef, of all things, but I ended up in higher ed because I got to participate in a program that was launching a new degree and a department for our community college district. I found really great people around me. I loved working in the college system. I ended up spending 20 years in that system and very much found what I would end up being the biggest frustration that caused me to create this organization here. One of the frustrations that I encountered in our program is that we couldn't really get our students graduated. People in education are very slow to make changes. They are used to things the way that they are. But with my background, I didn't come from education. I came from hotels and restaurants where customer service is the most important thing. And you do things right away. If there's a problem, you fix it, right? Well, our students weren't very happy, and they certainly weren't happy that they weren't graduating. So, can a system like that be fixed? Yes. Is it frustrating? Yes. But are colleges fixing it? No, they're not. Colleges are focusing on one very important thing, and that is enrollment and admissions. And so, a lot of what we hear as parents is focused around enrollment, it's focused around admissions. And what I found working inside the system is that that's not really the problem. Getting into college is very easy, but getting out of college is what's challenging. And so when I became a homeschool mom, one of the things that I knew ahead of time was that if I wanted to get my kids through college, we were going to have some strategies. Now, my life as a homeschooler was wonderful in the very beginning. I homeschooled all four of my sons all the way from preschool through high school graduation, and in this case, through college graduation, because they're all grown now. That picture in the middle there was taken probably about 2005 or so. And I will say that one of my same concerns that I had, that you probably have as well, is somewhere around middle school, I started to kind of panic. I didn't have the confidence that we would be able to homeschool through high school and then I would be able to get my kids into college successfully. So this was a very real fear of mine. And that was despite having a background in higher education, despite working in that system. I still was worried because I didn't know how homeschool kids got into college. I didn't know how I would be able to prepare them, if I would be able to prepare them. There were a lot of uncertainties and a lot of questions that I really feel like accumulated into what ended up being an opportunity to start an organization where I could connect with other parents. Now, homeschooling for college credit is now, today in 2023, 2024, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. It didn't start that way. I would love to tell you I had this big vision for our organization where we would have 60,000 members and we would have this fantastic team of experts. We have that today, but that's not where we started. Where we started, it was really just a Facebook page, and I was looking for support for what I was doing, and I was hoping to be able to offer support to other parents and see what they were doing. So it's been a very, very slow and long growing process. It's been a slow building process. There's been no advertising along the way. We are just a community of parents who have found us and trust our resources. So that being said, homeschooling for college credit is dedicated to preserving and advancing access to post-secondary education for homeschooling families. What does that mean? Well, post-secondary is everything that comes after high school. So when your student graduates high school, what are those options available to them? And we will talk about those today because there's lots of options beyond just a typical four-year college degree. And specifically for homeschooling families. Why homeschooling? Well, besides the fact that I was a homeschooler, Also, the thing is that homeschool families sometimes feel like they don't have access to the resources that a public or a private school student has. That's one of the reasons parents may choose to send their kids to school during high school, because they feel like they want their kids to get the resources that are going to be provided by that system. Well, that's what we hope to do. We hope to give you all of the tools and resources so that you can be your teen's best guidance counselor and you won't feel that fear and uncertainty about how to handle high school. That is 100% what we are dedicated to helping with. We teach resourceful high school planning. And resourceful is a very important word in that sentence, because resourceful means that the high school planning is intentional. It's meant to get your student towards something, towards their career goal, towards their college goal, towards their military goal, whatever that is. We are being intentional during high school so that we can build that plan to get them where you're going to hopefully have them end up. We are 100% volunteer led. And the experts in our community are experts because they were brought up in this system. So when we first started way back in 2012, it was just me. Well, I'm only one person. And even though I do know a little bit about a lot of things, and I know a lot about a few things, I don't know everything. And so it became very clear to me as we began to grow that if someone was asking a question about Texas, or someone else was asking a question about New York, or someone else was asking about financial aid or admissions or dual enrollment or CLEP in their state, all of these variables make it impossible for one person to help anyone effectively. So we needed knowledgeable people who knew about those systems, who knew about how to homeschool for college credit. Well, where do you get those people? You get those people from the parents who are doing just that. So all of our aspects of our organization, throughout our Facebook groups, which we'll talk about today, these are led by parents just like you who have been in the organization, most of them 5 years, many of them longer, who are raising up their own kids in homeschooling. They're graduating their kids with college credit and with degrees. I just wanted to highlight a couple of our rockstar moderators, because we have moderators, we have about 50 of them right now. And they help run all of these groups. Shelly, which is our moderator for two of our groups, she's in Michigan. She's been a moderator for a long time. Both of her sons right now are at Liberty University. They're attending on campus, so they're getting the residential degree. Now, that degree, if you just go there, is about $145,000. We don't ever look at just what it costs for 1 year. We look at the whole cost. What's it going to cost for you to walk out of there with a bachelor's degree? And she's been able to resourcefully plan that so that her price tag for each of those sons is only about $17,000. So super, super good job of bringing the cost of those degrees down. Misty, our moderator for Kentucky, she just graduated her sixth teen, all six of them, not a single dollar of student loan debt. All of her kids started earning college credit in high school. They all finished their bachelor's degrees somewhere in the neighborhood of 16, 17, or 18 years old. So an amazing example and resource, not only for our families in Kentucky, but for all of our families. Danielle, she's our Ohio moderator. Her daughter graduated from high school with 68 or 69 college credits. They selected very carefully. They chose a college that had a certain calendar of shorter terms, which allowed her to apply for admissions and graduation in the same academic year. Also, of course, no debt. So we have people like this, people like them, leading all of our groups. So these are people who know how to do what it is that you're trying to do. So we don't have an agenda. And I think that's where you're going to find that we are different than most homeschool organizations. We are neutral. So we teach you how to do what you want to do, and we don't tell you what to do. So it's very important that you get that sense of autonomy, and that whatever plan that you're working towards, that's the goal that we want for you. So if you're trying to get your student into a selective four-year college, that's a great goal, and we can help you with that. If you're trying to save the most money possible, that's a great goal. We can help you with that. If you're trying to get your student through a degree in high school, we know how to do that too. So we're not going to tell you what to do. That's between you and your teenager and the rest of your family to work through and to decide what those goals are. So we're not going to be pushing our agenda. and there's no sales. So 99% of what we offer is going to be available to our families at no cost. We have very, very low operating expenses. We do have some programs every now and again that we'll do a special class or a special event, and there may be a charge for that to cover our costs. But again, this is not an agenda-driven business. This is an opportunity for us to connect and support each other, and it's an opportunity for you to get in here and to do the same. So I want to talk about the fear that most of us share as we think about our kids getting into college. And that is the fear. I had that same fear when I was in middle school. How do our kids get in? I'm so worried about them getting in. Will they be able to get in? Well, I want to tell you that that's an intentional reaction, and that comes from a very intentional sales pitch. Fear is a sales pitch. Colleges use this as a way of kind of selling their product. And I know that sounds so skeptical, but I want to walk you through it and talk to you about it. And then we're going to talk about why it's a sales pitch. So think about the fear of missing out, FOMO, okay? Fear of missing out. One of the fear points here is that if your student doesn't get in, they won't have any financial security. They won't be able to get a good job. And if they do get a college degree, they'll be able to make a lot more money. That is a strong message. Now, there is some data to suggest that, but they also very strongly promote the experience of college, the experience of networking, the experience of a lifetime, right? You should know that most of the time that college experience doesn't include graduating, by the way, but we'll save that for another discussion. The fear of the career and job prospects, but all of this fear sales is to distract you from the price tag. They don't even want you to think about the price tag. A lot of times students don't even know what it costs to purchase that experience or to purchase that degree. A lot of students don't know how much they've borrowed or spent in buying this. So they're doing a great job of distracting us from the price tag. This fear also creates urgency that since getting in is so hard, you really should have started yesterday. And this is one of the things that parents start to panic about as they get into middle school and high school. Are our academics good enough? Have I been doing enough? Will we be doing enough? Am I going to be recording it properly? Am I going to be able to fill it out, the application process, and get them in? So all of this sense of urgency is where parents start to spin out of control. But fear is not their only sales pitch. They have another one. They have the sales pitch of privilege. What is the sales pitch of privilege? Well, there's a lot of flattery that goes in through the college process. They want you, or they want you to feel like they want you, and that feels very special, particularly to a teenager. If they select your student, that is even better. Now, we have seen, I'm sure you've seen the videos on YouTube or on Instagram or TikTok of people getting accepted into their dream school and all the fanfare that surrounds that. I mean, getting selected, being chosen. You are special. Everything is focused about getting in. All of this is about getting in. But you'll remember, this is all part of the sales pitch. Now, sometimes a student is handpicked to receive an enrollment discount. Boy, that's a weird word. What does that even mean, an enrollment discount? Well, that's another word for a scholarship. Scholarship comes from the marketing budget, guys. There are some scholarships that are from outside donors and foundations. There are some scholarships that might be merit awards. But for the most part, the scholarships are intentionally used as a carrot to motivate you to pull the trigger and enroll. Now, the last one is for parents, and I'm going to include myself in this because the privilege here is the validation that comes that we did a good job as homeschool parents. We can pat ourselves on the back. We've graduated our student, or we're about to, and they're getting into college. Not just any college, but ABC college or XYZ college, a special college. We feel very, very validated when that happens. But I want you to be careful because having fear and privilege guide your decisions is very, very dangerous. It creates that feeling of subtle compliance. It puts us into the mindset of doing whatever it takes to get our kids there. And what do you think whatever it takes means? Well, probably borrowing a lot of money. Homeschooling for college credit hopefully will reduce your fears and hopefully will empower you to feel more confident as your teen's guidance counselor. Hopefully, we will be able to give you those resources and tools so that you can navigate the system with the I guess your eyes wide open would be a way to say it, so that you're kind of aware. It's not that these things are going away. It's not that we're totally not going to feel any fear or that we're not going to feel proud when our kids get into college. We want all of that, but we want you to do all of this with wisdom. So adults bring wisdom to the table. Teenagers don't have that yet. So part of this idea is that the parent is the guidance counselor because the parent is the one who cares the most and has the most invested into their student. So college credit earned in high school is low cost or free. This is really the cornerstone of how the parents in our community are saving significant amounts of money. Everything kind of boils down to this principle. So, as a homeschool family, your student is earning college credit in high school at pennies on the dollar. And again, sometimes it's free. 13 of our states allow students to take college courses completely for free, no tuition at all. And there are options for very inexpensive college credit that your students can do, like advanced placement exams or CLEP exams or other types of college credit that are very, very low cost. When your student is in high school and they are accumulating this very low cost or free credit, what it's doing then, because you're being resourceful and you're being intentional, is those credits are going to be credits that are replacing the expensive college courses later. So instead of taking English 101 after high school graduation, you can take it inside of high school for a fraction of the cost, sometimes free. This is how parents are reducing that cost. Those costs are then spread out over several years because most students start earning college credit somewhere around 10th or 11th grade, and many students can accumulate 1 or 2 or more years of college credit alongside of their high school program. So this, of course, varies. It depends on where you live as to what kinds of access you're going to have to different resources. It depends on your students' motivation, and it depends on your knowledge and ability to create this plan. But it is worth it because, as you heard in some of our earlier examples, this investment in time, which is really what it is, it's your time to kind of learn how to do this. Your investment in time can repay hundreds of thousands of dollars. If you have multiple kids that still haven't gone to college, every student that you can get through college without debt, or every student that you can get out of college very quickly, is potentially saving your kid about $200,000, depending on where they go. And that's about the average price right now of a 4-year degree in the United States. So college credit earned in high school, very low cost and very, very easy to earn in high school. Now, after high school, 100% of you are going to pay full price. That's no question. All right. There's no way around that. It's most of the time the case that the parent starts thinking about paying for college when they're looking at the full price sticker. So they're looking at things like, well, gosh, we need to get scholarships. We need to figure this out. If we can't get scholarships, then our student can't go. It's because you're looking at the sticker price. You're looking at the rack rate. You're looking at the cost of a 4-year degree, and you're trying to figure out how to pay for that once your student is already out of high school. Once they're out of high school, that opportunity is lost. See, all of the college credit that your student earns in high school is portable. You can take that into the college, but it doesn't change their application status. So here's a trick for you. When a student earns college credit in high school, they retain their freshman application status. So we have students all the time completing their entire associate's degree in general education courses that are intentionally going to transfer into their 4-year degree, and they still get to apply as a freshman because that associate's degree was earned in high school. So that means that the student, if they're eligible for freshman scholarships or merit aid, they still get those. So what we're doing is we're reducing the number of credits your student needs to do, we're reducing the cost that your students need to do. And then if they get scholarships, and then if they get a Pell Grant, then if they get a merit aid, you have a much, much smaller pile of credits to pay for once they've already enrolled and once they've gone there. So there's a lot of advantages cost-wise for getting those credits in high school. Now, there are other things we're not going to get into today, but I do believe that when the parent helps their student with this, it also allows a student to kind of be more realistic in terms of thinking about their future. I think that it helps everyone start that conversation, which is important. So, homeschooling for college credit is kind of divided into three different streams of information, and it really depends on where you are. The first area is helping you start, and that's probably where you are today. That's probably one of the reasons that you're listening to this recording. When you are starting, it has nothing to do with the age or the grade of your student. Your student could be starting as an 8-year-old, or they could be starting as a 12th grader. It makes no difference. Starting is when you're learning about homeschooling for college credit and how and why it works, how you're going to be able to implement this. It's the big picture stuff. Don't get caught up in the granular details. When you're just getting started, it's very important that you learn the basics. So everything in the Help Me Start stream is for that specific thing. Whether you're taking one of our classes, reading our website, reading our blog pages, downloading one of our guides, if you've bought my book, thank you. um, Whatever it is that you're doing, it's all about kind of learning the lingo, learning how it works. Joining our organization, which, by the way, is free. If you're listening to this, you're already part of the organization. We don't have a membership application. We don't have dues. We don't have a big process where you have to subscribe and give us your email and text and all of those things. We do none of that. Our organization is free to join, it's free to leave, and it lives primarily on Facebook. Facebook groups are where you're going to be able to get the interaction that's going to support you through the process. So our Facebook groups, we have one in all of the states. So we have 50 Facebook groups for the states. So you'll definitely want to be in the Facebook group for your state. And then we have some specialty groups for people who have specific situations and may want to talk to other parents in that same situation. So, for instance, we have a Facebook group for our parents who want their kids to go to a highly selective college because that's a different approach. Okay. We have a Facebook group for families who are in the military. Perhaps they're living outside of the country, and homeschooling for college credit is a little more challenging for those families. We have a marketplace where you can buy and sell your used materials. We have a group for students who are going into historically Black colleges and universities. We have a special Facebook group for families who want to use Christian-based dual enrollment or colleges. We have a Facebook group for families who want to do testing out and earning lots of credit through testing like CLEP and AP. So we have a lot of Facebook groups where you can get extra help and extra connectivity. All of this is all part of your learning process more than your students. At the Help Me Start phase, it's really for the parent. The first 3 classes that your student completes, those first college credits, that's their spark stage. So your job is going to be to bring 3 classes to them or 3 credit by exam opportunities that get them excited. You're trying to create buy-in here. You want them to be motivated, enthusiastic, and willing to participate. Sometimes kids are very afraid of taking college classes because they think that it's going to be very hard. They think that, especially if school does not come easy to them, they think that, well, gosh, if I'm already doing 10th grade work and it's hard, I can't imagine what college work, which is 2 or 3 or 4 levels ahead of where I'm at now, I can't imagine what that is. And so they don't want to fail. They don't want to disappoint you. And so they may be very intimidated. So the spark stage is important, not for transferable college credit that they can use towards a degree later. We're not going to mess with that in the spark stage. The spark stage is getting buy-in. So maybe the spark stage is a class that they're super excited in. Maybe it's something to do with computers or with music or something with art. But the spark stage is the time when they get excited about earning college credit and they're going to be successful at it. You're going to make sure that those classes that they're in are ones that they can do. Once they have a little bit of college credit under their belt, now you can really start getting into the plan and helping them grow. Growing is where most of you are going to spend most of your time homeschooling for college credit. So you're going to design your high school plan, and your high school plan will include however many years you have planned out for your student. If you're coming to us in 12th grade, your plan is already pretty much done, but you still have a year that you can plan. If your student is in middle school, you can start thinking about that high school plan, but you can still earn college credit even if they're not in high school. You're going to select those college credits that make sense for your teen. What does make sense mean? Well, if your student is going into an art conservatory and my student is going into a welding program, the kinds of credits that we're going to bring into our homeschool are going to be super different, right? So there's no one size fits all here. The kinds of credits that make sense are the ones that help you accomplish your goal. You're going to transcript all of their credits, both high school credits and college credits. We have lots of transcript resources to help you do that. They are going to accumulate college credits, and you're going to evaluate their opportunities. You're going to evaluate how these credits are going to fit into their game plan and how they're going to take them through their exit strategy. And that is where helping you finish comes in. So when you're at this phase, now you're starting to create their final transcript. You've already got their classes done or are in progress. They're almost done. You've identified target colleges that make sense for your teen. Again, if your student is going to a conservatory and mine is going into a welding program, we have different target colleges in mind, right? So we're going to look for the target colleges, and then those target colleges, we're going to see if they're going to get transfer credit and the most transfer credit. We want to see who's going to reward our teens for their hard work. If I have 3 different colleges that I'm choosing from, 2 of them will accept all of my students' college credit and the other one doesn't accept any, I'm going to have to give that consideration. Is it worth it to have my teens start over? It might not be, but it might be if it's a better program. So these are discussions that you want to be central in. You don't want your teen making all these decisions by themselves. You want to help them because, again, the adults bring wisdom here. And having a big picture discussion like an adult is going to help your teen very, very much. And finally, they will transition out of high school into their degree program or whatever that secondary or post-secondary program is. So as your teen's guidance counselor, there are so many different opportunities for your teen. There's so many different resources. You are going to have these conversations with your student. Your student probably doesn't have any idea what kind of training is needed for whatever career they want. They may not even know what they want to do for a career. So there's a lot of things here to discuss with your student. And I promise you, this is not a burden, it's a privilege because you get to work with them. You've known them their whole life, right? And so you know their strengths and weaknesses and abilities, and you know how their mind works. So you will be much better prepared to help them than a paid employee or someone else's guidance counselor from a school. And that guidance counselor might be trying to advise 250 to 300 students. So this is a very important conversation. Some of the different ways that you can use college credit after high school would be towards licenses and certificates. For instance, there is a long list of certificates available through our local community college that the dual enrollment students have access to. Things like certificates related to IT or cybersecurity, things that can result in job training, things like Excel. There's lots of certificate opportunities. There's also certificates for things like mini programs, small core courses that will nest inside of a bigger program. There's license opportunities. You can perhaps start a program that ends in a license. One of my sons did the real estate license course. That's not a college credit course, but it's one that he could take the course. Licenses in any state can sometimes be started, at least with the educational piece, when your student's still in high school. Maybe becoming a nurse's assistant would be an example of a license, or cosmetology, or even a sanitation certification or license. 2-year technical degrees and 2-year transfer degrees. These usually come from the community college. Your community college offers both. A career and technical degree is the kind of degree that gives them direct job training. So they're going to go right to work after that degree. They're not intending to go to a 4-year school. And the transfer degree is the one that intends for them to go to the 4-year school. So it really just depends on what kind of occupation they're looking at as to which of those 2-year degrees would make the most sense. Apprenticeship, military, gap year, missionary, business owner. These are other ideas that might appeal to your student. My second son became a business owner right out of high school, and he had lots of college credit in high school. He earned about 90 credits. He got an associate's degree, and then he got a bachelor's degree, but was a business owner. That was his primary focus. So it wasn't on the experience of the college. He got his business degree very, very quickly, for as low of a cost and as fast as we could do it, so that we could focus instead his resources on his business. Your student might want or need a university degree, and they might want or need a master's or a doctorate degree, depending on where they're going with their career. So, as their guidance counselor, there's a lot of myths out there, but there's also a lot of truths. And so, I want to talk to you about a few of those truths that are really important because it will help give you clarity. You should know that 87% of all high school graduates enroll in college immediately, no matter what their intended career dictates. Isn't this terrible? Of the students on that list who have the opportunity to do certificates and licenses and career and technical education, military, gap year, all of these different opportunities, they were all instead distracted away from achieving that goal and routed into college. College might not be the direct path to that career. So it's very important that you, as the parent, help your student figure out exactly what is the right training and what is the right kind of credential for that career. You care more than everyone else, and you care because you're invested. So you're the one who's going to give them the best advice. Unfortunately, about 50% of all students who start college will drop out. Now, this varies because at some colleges it's actually much, much higher, and at other colleges it's lower. But you get to help your student navigate that process, and they're going to be completing their classes with you as part of their home school. So you get to help oversee this process to make sure that they're successful. When kids go to college and they haven't taken any college credit, it's a big question mark as to whether or not they're up for the challenge. So your teen is going to be demonstrating proof of concept because they're going to have worked through those classes, and you're going to be able to see that they can work through those classes while they're still in homeschool, while the cost is very, very low. And you can always pivot if you're having to deal with problems. You don't have to wait until they've left the house, gone off, and you're on the hook for tens of thousands of dollars to do that. Now, the average college graduate who earned a 4-year degree spent 6 years earning that degree. Colleges don't want to talk about that in their admissions propaganda, but it is now 6 years. That is the average. So as we're talking about things like costs of tuition and room and board, these costs should not be multiplied over 4 years. If you're going to be smart about it, you should at least look at the cost of that degree over 5 years, because that is the norm, unless your teen is bringing in college credit. So families in our community do not spend 4 to 6 years getting a bachelor's degree. Their kids are earning bachelor's degrees 1 and 2 years out of high school because they're bringing in lots and lots of college credit. Your teen can do that, those first 1 to 2 years of college at home as part of their high school before they've ever started college. What you're doing is you're stockpiling credit. You're holding it in the anticipation of them using it later. Motivated teens can even earn an associate's degree if that's an option through your local community college. That's a great option for them. And it especially works well if they're going to go straight to work or if they're going to transfer to a 4-year degree. My youngest son finished his associate's degree in a career and technical field, so that the weekend that he graduated from high school, he also graduated with his associate's degree and went directly into work. Your teens can get a good part of their bachelor's degree done in high school if you plan well. And homeschooling for college credit teens are completers. And the reason that they're completers is because they have motivated parents who care about their students in the educational process and that they become successful. So you can't hire that out. No one is going to care as much as your student. Now, finally, getting in is easier than you think. I have a chart here. What do you think that this pie chart represents? Well, you might think that that's the admissions rate, or you might think that that's the rejection rate for students getting in or out of colleges. It's neither. This green part of the circle represents the number of colleges that are open enrollment, and the orange wedge represents the colleges that are selective or highly selective. So what this means is out of the entire pool of about 3,900 colleges in the United States, your teen, if they qualify, which means they graduate high school, they have a decent grade point average, if they qualify, they can just enroll and pay. That's it. Now, if you think about the little orange segment here, what are those schools? Well, those are the schools that everyone knows. Those are the popular schools. Those are the schools that have very high selectivity because there's a bottleneck of applicants. All of the students are applying to those. Why do we think that all of the students are all applying to this very select group? Well, think back to talking about the high school guidance counselor. When a high school guidance counselor has to advise 250 or 300 students, they can't go through 3,900 different schools and pick the best school for each student. So they choose their large state university, or they choose the popular state university, or they pick it based on a Big Ten football team. They choose the popular ones, and that's what they advise. And so, therefore, that's where everyone applies. That's where everyone wants to go. So, if you are one of 50,000 people applying for a seat at one of those colleges, of course it's going to be competitive. Of course it's going to be hard to get in. And of course you have to outshine everyone else. But guess what? You can opt out of the crazy by not applying to those schools. How about just applying to one of the regular good colleges or one of the regular good universities that don't have that craziness? The truth is that all of the colleges in the green section represent about 85% of colleges, and they want your student. They need enrollment. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not still trying to market through fear and prestige. But what they really want is they want enrollment, and they need to meet their numbers. Enrollment is the name of the game in the college world, and that is the case most of the time. You can avoid all the crazy if you just avoid that orange section. So where do you go from here? I want you to go to homeschoolingforcollegecredit.org, and if you don't want to type all that out, you can type in hs4cc.org and click the Help Me Start. Help Me Start is where you're going to find the instructions step by step on how to get that knowledge that we talked about, how to begin understanding the big process, how to get into our Facebook groups, how to tap into all of our resources. All of our resources are here. Nothing is behind a paywall. You don't have to sign up or subscribe. If you subscribe, you'll be subscribing to the blog, and the blog is right here. We have a daily blog post every single day, 365 days of the year, and that can be delivered to your inbox if you prefer. Otherwise, you can come to the site every day and read the blog post. But this is how you get started. This is how you begin the process. Inside this Help Me Start tab is something else that's really special, and that is our selection of happy stories. When parents complete a program, they are generally so excited, and no one appreciates the hard work of doing this, as much as other parents here. We all very much appreciate it because it's a little weird and it's a little different to do it this way. But we have these stories, and I love to share these stories. So when parents send me their stories, I put them in the happy stories section. If you want to spend a weekend binging on something, binge on these happy stories because you'll leave so encouraged and so inspired. And we have many, many, many stories there. There's just a few here on the slide that you can see, but it's a fantastic way for you to spend an afternoon or two. So thank you for your attention. I hope that you enjoyed this introduction to our organization. I hope you find that we'll be able to support you and help you get those resources, and that we become a resource that you can trust. Thank you.